Welcome back. Daily Show. Mary, you know, I have told people over and over again when I talk about the North Alton Godfrey Business Council that you were one of the most impressive presentations that I've heard there. Seriously, because it blows my mind whenever I learned about Bi-State Development for the first time. And you really see the impact and just the amount of not only just money, but the amount of impact that this area has for global commerce. But also now when you keep joining us, it's just the ways that you are growing the region, you know, as a whole. And I think it's exciting. And now we're talking about these resources that are connecting area youth to a really exciting couple of fields.
Thanks for the invite. Yeah, there's always a tremendous amount of things going on in this area. And as much as I like to say we've got a great marketing staff, I think the truth really is there's so many great things going on in our area, whether it's transportation or manufacturing.
This is just incredible. And now, you know, whenever we talk about aerospace, and I think that this is one that, you know, for the younger generations makes more and more sense, but I'm kind of not as connected, you know, to the new types of opportunity. And I think the older generations are not. Maybe you think of aerospace as a certain type of job. What are the new opportunities in aerospace? Because it seems like this area is really just a hotbed for it right now.
We really are. We're actually very unique. So for the St. Louis region, we have three main anchor aerospace manufacturing companies. We have Gulfstream, Boeing, and Westar. And that in itself is pretty unique. Sometimes when you think about other regions, they have one really big anchor like Boeing. For the St. Louis region, we have these three big anchors. So from a resiliency perspective, that helps keep that stability and the growth. They support over 17,000 jobs. And then with that said, all of the consultants and contractors who are supporting those three anchors, they support over 300,000 jobs.
Wow.
So that's kind of the lead in as far as this diverse ecosystem that we have. And that's where a couple years ago, we put together some statistics telling that story. We realized that moving forward, we have over $5 billion of infrastructure projects related to aerospace and aviation. That's going to create another 900 jobs. And so we got all the industry leaders together and we got together and what do we need to do to support those jobs in this robust industry? And one of the action items was putting together these roadmaps that identify these great career opportunities.
This is incredible. And, you know, whenever you're working with those leaders and you're working with the youth, what's that tie-in? What are they seeing in terms of how do you reach across the aisle, so to speak? Because it seemed like, 10, 15 years ago, these jobs were great, opportunities, but it seemed like, let's focus on more of a traditional path. But it seems like this in the last couple of years has just exploded with a lot of young people eager to really kind of dive in and learn about this. And even for older people to maybe reconfigure their career a little bit, go back, learn, and get back into it.
Yeah, so one of the first things that happened a couple of years ago is we got the 5 airport directors of our 5 largest airports in the Bi-State region together, then all the aerospace industry leaders together. And at that point, I think that's really an important story to tell as far as that collaboration where they all came and said, we're not necessarily competing with each other. Yeah. The Boeing, the Gulfstream, the Westar, those 5 airports, basically, they've recognized we have this really impressive space, and there's these opportunities to, number one, to support that workforce, but to grow it.
Yeah.
And then that's where, because of this collaboration, where they're just trying to lift this industry, one of the first action items they had is we need to identify a roadmap, something that's specific for the St. Louis region that basically we can get in front of high school students and basically say, here's how you can get to the front door of these major aerospace manufacturing companies, and then explain some of these really creative ways that they can get involved and be part of that.
So I just want to point out, we're going to show you that roadmap here and some of those options. Are the colors the different opportunities on this map? Am I looking at this correct?
Okay, so that map, you're basically looking at 300,000 dots, and that represents all of the workforce in the Bi-State region. And so currently. And so the point of us doing that was just from a graphical perspective saying, if you're in the manufacturing industry, bring your business here. We've got that robust workforce. But then the other thing it does a good job, and that is if something great is going on in St. Louis County, if you're in Madison or St. Clair County, you can be part of that.
Yeah.
And then it also ties into everything we're trying to do from an infrastructure perspective, where we've got all these great things supporting that robust industry.
I just saw that map and I'm like, what
is that?
Yes.
Well, it's 300,000 dots.
Well,
so,
and just, that to me is just, it's so much more meaningful than 300,000 jobs too. I mean, that could be in terms of a thriving, local economy too, because think about that. Someone that has a great paying job is able to go and support their, high school booster club or their athletic programs or local charities and all those other options and buy local and all of those things that really make a community, no matter what size, thrive.
Yeah. And so working with those industry leaders, we said, all right, let's put a roadmap together, but there's so many different groups of individuals we need to target. And
this is cool.
And that's where the leader said we need to focus on high school students.
Yep.
Like I said, we can focus on, all these different groups. It has to be high school students. That's the missed opportunity. And so basically we put it together and we've got a fact sheet if you're interested in aerospace or aviation. Aerospace, just to give you an idea, and again, we're just streamlining it and basically saying that if you are a high school student or you have your GED, there are jobs, if you want to enter the workforce immediately, you can be a sheet metal worker, you can be a machinist, you can be a welder, you can be a woodworker. And that, if you're interested in like cabinet making, furniture, finishing, woodworking, machine operator, painting, and assembler, those are jobs that you can just literally walk right out of high school and enter that.
That's incredible. And I'm on the website, and we'll take you back to that website because right as Mary started talking about that, I decided to kind of go deep diving a little bit myself. And this is the 4-year or the high school diploma and GED section of the website. You have a PDF option here. But think about this. Look at these numbers here. I mean, these are good paying jobs.
They're good. And then the other thing is the benefits are outstanding.
Oh, I couldn't imagine.
The benefits are outstanding. The other thing is because these 3 major manufacturing companies are all at the table, they're streamlining that process. They have these great programs for the onboarding so that you have a really good understanding of what that job looks like. And, the other thing is when you talk about some of these jobs, a sheet metal worker, a machinist, and you're like, I really don't know if I can relate to that. One of the things that we're trying to do is maybe kind of flip that around and basically say, if you're in high school and you are playing on a team sport, and think about what that goal is when you work together as a team, you have a goal. Okay, to win something, and you're all working together and you have your unique part. That is no different than building an aircraft.
Right.
You have a specific role, but in the end, this is what you're doing. So any of those skills or of interest that you have as far as being on a team sport, that could literally apply to these jobs that we have here.
That is absolutely incredible. And it's such a great tie-in. You're right, because, to me, it's all about feeling in the importance of a job anymore for a younger generation. What's the meaning there? It's not really the dollar bill anymore for a lot of kids that I've talked to, Mary. It's the fact that, they want to be able to say, I did something or I'm valuable. And every one of these, you're a valuable member of that specific team. And going into the team aspect too with Bi-State as a whole, with all of these major contributors to a global economy, take me through how much of this project and how much of the workforce development aspect, I don't want to say the word consume, but is utilized in the Bi-State development, workload. Is this a major component of what you're looking to do? Is this just an additional component of what you at Bi-State have already continued to do? Could you fill me in a little bit more?
Sure. So the things that we're talking about right now are really under the Department of St. Louis Regional Freightway.
Okay.
So that really focuses on the manufacturing transportation. But kind of taking a step back at Bi-State, we have several different enterprises.
Gotcha.
So we've got the transit component. And that's where with our transit staff, whether it's for light rail or bus operating services, we're always looking for mechanics, bus operators, or Metrolink drivers. We own and operate the riverboats in front of the Gateway Arch. So we're always looking for seasonal and full-time employees for our riverboats in front of the Gateway Arch. We own and operate the St. Louis Downtown Airport in Cahokia Heights, Illinois. And then we also have staff that are assigned to the Gateway Arch.
I'm only chuckling because it's just incredible that all of this is able to be done. It's truly incredible.
It is. Yeah.
And now, before we take a quick break, we're going to come back and talk a lot more about this because it's not just for high school, those high school diplomas, GED. If you want to go 4 years and work through college and that's what you've decided, there's a ton of opportunities waiting for you when you get out of there. And really just new career seekers too. So we'll go through, look at all of that. We'll talk about Bi-State Development as a whole a little bit more, and just more of the opportunities in the region, because it's really just incredible to talk about a lot of good and really just a lot of cool stuff too when it comes to the Metro East. More Daily Show at 10:45 next. With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
Discover Del Mar Public House, located in Godfrey's historic Clifton Schoolhouse. Enjoy bold flavors like homemade falafel, fish and chips, and rotating pasta favorites. Relax with local beers, half-price wine bottles, and summer poutine nights. The only thing missing is you. Open Wednesday through Sunday. Del Mar Public House, where great food, drinks, and friends come together. DelMarPublicHouse.com.
Do you need to declutter your space? Time to call me, the Queen of Junk. Since 1993, we have grown to be the leader in residential, commercial, and property management junk removal. At Sparks Junk Removal, we are eco-friendly. We recycle, donate, or repurpose items back into our community. Trash is our last resort to the landfill. Plus, with our all-inclusive service, our crews handle everything from labor to lifting and landfill fees. Give us a call or visit our website, sparksjunkremoval.net, to reclaim your space today.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone. And over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job, there's nothing holding me back anymore.
When you need a project done right, on budget and on time, trust Gillahan Concrete. Gillahan handles every kind of project, big and small. Commercial, industrial, residential, from room additions and garages to patios, driveways, and more. Gillahan brings quality and experience to every job. Family owned with over 30 years of service to our community. Call today at 618-781-3914 or visit GillahanConcrete.com.
Accidents happen in a heartbeat, but lives change forever. Whether it's a car crash, workplace injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you don't have to face the consequences alone. Keith Short and Associates brings over 33 years of experience and a reputation for fighting fiercely for your rights. For relentless representation that you can trust, call Keith Short and Associates at 618-254-0055 today for a free consultation.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Hey, me, what you wanna do? I think I could stay with you for a while, maybe longer if I do.
Daily Show, welcome back. Back in with Mary. You know, we were just talking during the break, and it's not just aerospace, it's really this avionics. And this is what I think is so cool because, you know, it's just as simple as, and not really just as simple as, my generation thinks it's simple, but Wi-Fi on an airplane. Fill me in on this, because we were talking, and I walked back to my office over there, and it just blew my mind that, you know, something as innovative as that is an opportunity for someone right here.
Yeah, and it's taking place right here in our backyard. So avionics, it's the electronics and technology, but it focuses on the navigation system for aircraft.
This is so cool.
And so that's where there are opportunities right here in our backyard. Southwestern Illinois Community College at the Granite City campus, they have an avionics program. Lewis and Clark is in the process of announcing a new project sometime in 2026.
Really?
Or not project, but program for avionics. And the point on that is, you've got this brain power and training program that if you are interested in that, you would then be part of this cutting edge technology that's providing that navigation for aircrafts. But the cutting edge is when we're flying on commercial planes for vacation or business, and you think about when you're traveling and your internet kind of goes in and out.
Yep.
Sometimes that goes out for the aircraft as well. And so that's where you've got these programs that you could be part of the design and cutting edge innovation to try and make those systems better. And that's going on right here in our backyard.
So that's where the tie-in came in, because I was thinking, I'm like, okay, it makes sense. And now you're right, because if that does, I mean, that's a vital component and a vital job for not only, the economy, obviously, but also for people in general and safety. This is huge.
It is. And then at our local high schools, whether you're Belleville Township High School or the Collinsville High School, they've got aviation and aerospace programs that they're introducing young people to all these different career paths.
I love it.
And we focused on aerospace, we focused on avionics, but there's also the aviation part as well. Mm-hmm. And so that's where right out of high school, if you're interested in being a flight attendant, a transportation security officer, a reservation agent, a baggage handler, those jobs are here. Because again, I mentioned we have 5 airports in this area.
That blows my mind when you say that, because obviously I know of 3 because of Bethalto,
mm-hmm.
But you got Mid-America, right? In
Mascoutah, Belleville, and then we've got the St. Louis Regional Airport right here in Bethalto. Then you have St. Louis Downtown Airport in Cahokia Heights, Illinois. On the Missouri side, you have St. Louis Lambert International and then Spirit Airport in Chesterfield. And the point is that if you're interested in the aviation aspect, there is career paths there. And actually, I've told the story before, our airport director at the Cahokia Heights Airport, St. Louis Downtown, when we needed to fill that position, I reached out to Mid-America and Spirit Airport, and they had their airport directors help me with that interview process. And that's where everybody's working in collaboration. And the point is, Sandy Shore is our airport director. She's a young woman working in this space. I won't be surprised in the next couple of years, her and her counterparts could be moving to these other airports. And that's where you get that expertise here, and the sky's the limit as far as job opportunities.
That's incredible. Well, and I just a little bit more into this too. I mean, we have in Belleville specifically with the cave is just so cool. Collinsville is doing a lot of great work, and Alton's adding so many more additions to their programs. A lot of area schools are really diving into these types of opportunities. And, when you're working with the task force, when you're working just putting the final touches on it and you're seeing the results, what are the thoughts of the admin of the schools? Are they excited? Is this something to where, they're seeing their students motivated and more eager?
Yeah, they are completely embracing it. And it just felt like in the past, sometimes I think there was always the interest in partnering with these companies. But the fact with this industry, they're embracing it.
Yeah.
So Gulfstream actually has full-time employees assigned to the cave at the Belleville campus right now. Westar has their Westar Academy. So that's where they have SWIC instructors assigned to the Westar facility for their academy. And so that's really unique that you've got full-time aerospace manufacturing leaders working at the high school, or you've got the community college leaders working at these different campuses. And then, we've mentioned Collinsville, they've got an aviation program as well. So that's where you can kind of see where that path is leading. And that's where we're trying to build that awareness at an early age.
Absolutely. You guys can find out more by going to thefreightway.com. That's thefreightway.com. And you can see that tab. We will link everything in a write-up on RiverBender so you can see it. But, Mary, is this the best way for parents and the public and school admin to get more information on this?
Yeah, visit us at aerostl.org. And this was one of the first tasks that we had, and that was to try and get all this great information in a central location. Mm-hmm. So not only does it have the roadmaps, but if you're interested in events or programs, it's all there. Further down, if you're interested in where are these jobs, we've got a direct link with Boeing, Gulfstream, and Westar as far as what those jobs are. There's a brief description on each job. And then it also says, what does the job outlook look for these types of positions? So everything is there about the St. Louis region in this robust ecosystem that we have.
Well, this is just incredible because you can really, you can have a great career with so many opportunities. And I think so many times we always handcuff ourselves in a way when, you know, whether it's a new career seeker or as a younger person, because, you know, well, dang it, I didn't go to, you know, I didn't get my, you know, my master's, I didn't get my bachelor's, I didn't get this. And what you're telling everyone is that's okay, because there's still a role for you, and an exciting role, and one that you can, you know, build that career on, and you can stay there for as long as you like and really create that opportunity for you and your family.
Yep, and I think what makes it unique is the fact that you've got these three major aerospace manufacturing companies giving us that input and basically leading and championing these efforts.
Mm-hmm. So cool. Mary, what else should we talk about when it comes to this that we haven't yet before I say goodbye for now?
St. Louis region, we continue to be a global logistics hub. We continue to be the most efficient inland port in the nation.
That's incredible.
We continue to be the agricultural coast of America, which means nowhere else on the inland waterway system is moving the amount of ag or fertilizer products anywhere on the inland waterway system. And what that really means is we're helping feed the world.
You know, and I hate to ask this, and this is just one of those kind of CJ thoughts. Has there ever been conversation with any federal government in the last, you know, like 12 years even, or 16, about, you know, really putting a stamp on that from a national level and really highlighting the importance of that region?
So they are absolutely embracing it.
Really cool.
Yeah, they are embracing it. And when different public agencies or entities are applying for grant funding for infrastructure, they're putting, we're the agricultural coast of America, because that basically tells that story. This is a cost-effective place to move commodities throughout not only the U.S., but throughout the world.
Incredible. Mary, it's always a great pleasure talking with you, and I can't wait to do it again soon.
All right, thanks for the invite.
We'll take a quick break. We'll link everything in a write-up on RiverBender.com, and we'll come back and wrap up the Monday morning that was right after this on Roku and Riverbender.